I remember standing up and picking up my hairbrush when suddenly there was a pop and I crumpled to the floor. I couldn't move. When I was a student in college, I decided to take a year on as a student missionary. My roommate and I decided we wanted to visit one of the local islands nearby that was known for scuba diving. So when break came, we took our funds and purchased a ticket to go to the island of Palau. It's second largest in diving next to Blue Corner, and we were thrilled to go scuba diving. And on our dives, we encountered some incredible things. I got to hold an octopus. I remember swimming with sharks. It was the dream that I had been wanting, and there I was living it. It was the end of our trip. I was on a dive where we'd taken a boat a couple hours out into the ocean, and we had our master diver with us. But something was different with this dive. I remember it was to a wreck dive. There were World War II ships that had sunk, and we were down near the deck, and I could still see the bottles and different things still on the ship when I started having a problem. I started to float. Now, in scuba diving, you want to make sure that you are doing your level depth checks. Every couple of feet, you're supposed to stop and hover and let the pressure of the water around you acclimate to your body or your body to it. But for some reason, I just started floating up and I could not stop. I remember swimming downwards, trying to dive down towards the depth that I needed to be at. I remember my roommate and master diver both grabbing onto my vest and my tank, also trying to pull me down so that I would stay at the depth that I needed to do my pressure checks. I finally got to the surface faster than I should have. At the time, I just felt sore. Didn't think anything of it. I just knew that I hurt a little bit. And the next day, when we were getting ready to go to church, the pain was just greater. I remember standing up and picking up my hairbrush when suddenly there was a pop and I crumpled to the floor. I couldn't move. I could blink. I could speak, but I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't wiggle my fingers. I was unable to wiggle my toes. I could not move. We got to the hospital and the panic started to set in. They put me into an empty room on a dirty cot where there was definitely blood and other bodily fluid stains. And I just remember thinking, what have I done? My friends weren't there. The principal of the academy wasn't there, and I felt so alone. And I remember just laying in that hospital. Another night came and another day came, and then the most unique thing happened. There was an orthopedic surgeon from America who happened to be on island, who happened to come by this particular hospital, and he happened upon my case. He walked into the room, he looked at my chart and told the physicians there that I was suffering from the bends, that I needed to be put into a hyperbaric chamber. I was so blessed because hyperbaric chambers are not things that exist everywhere, yet I happened to be in a hut clinic that had one. There was a gas mask looking like device, which was my oxygen. And they told me just to relax, that they were pressurizing it down to the depth that I had been diving at, and just to breathe and stay awake. I was in there for hours. And I just remember hearing the clicking of sounds. I remember the mic not working, so there were murmurs from their end as they were trying to speak to me and me back to them. Yet I was hopeful. I was getting the treatment that I needed. And at the end of the hours of treatment, the clicking noises stopped. The doors opened, I heard them come in, and I still couldn't move. No fingers, no toes. And they carried me back out, and they took me back to my room. We did this again the next day. Same procedure, same mask, same carrying me in, the clicking sounds, the heat, the hours. I could just blink, no fingers, no toes, and they carried me out. On the third day, I was certain that this was going to be my life. And it was at the end of those 3 days where I just started to pray. I prayed for my first grade teacher, and I prayed for my cousin's dog, and I prayed for my family, and I prayed for the person who was my checkout person at the store. I prayed for whomever I could think of and whatever I could think of, because I literally had nothing left to do. And once again, the clicking noises stopped and the door opened, and I heard the people come in, and I took the mask off of my face and sat up and waited for them to wheel me out, when I realized that I had taken the mask off my face and I had wheeled myself out, sat myself up, and I could move. Everything. And I don't remember if there was pain at that point, but I remember that I could move. And it was one of the most freeing experiences of my life. The reason I share this story right now is because I have experienced those same type of emotions now while we've been in the last 2 years of this pandemic. Every one of us is going through something really, really hard. Every one of us has something in our past that has made us stop and doubt. We feel like we have no control, where we can't wiggle our fingers and we can't wiggle our toes. But God reminds us to have courage. He spent 3 days immobile for us as well, where on the third day He got up and exited His chamber and promised salvation for all of us. So even now, during this pandemic, in this time where I feel super tired and have moments where I question the strength of my faith, I remind myself that God has overcome the world and He's coming to get us soon. My name is Linda Biswas, and this is my story.
I'm Pastor Tara Van Cross, and we're so glad that you've tuned into our Azure Hills Church YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and click on the bell so that you'll be notified every time we share new videos. We are so glad that you're here. Until next time, please know that we're praying for you as you continue to be a voice of hope.